Yo, good morning. How are you all? I hope you're doing good on this fine Friday. It's it's a hot one. So we're gonna try to keep it very chill today. Um, yeah, we'll do some warm up sketching. Yo, what's up, Moon? Yeah, we're gonna do some sketching. We'll probably work on the big sort of dude in the sauna kind of splash art image. But yeah, we'll do some sketching warm up stuff first. Just have a chat, get into it, and yeah, we'll see. I'll be live until we'll see. Like 3.5 hours, maybe 3.5, 4 hours, and then I gotta go. But yeah, it should be go on. All right. So as always, we're going to start with old paintings that slap. And today's old painting that slaps is by William Bouguereau, and it is Dante and Virgil in Hell. This is a painting that is in the Musée d'Orsay in France. I have seen this painting. It is fantastic. A lot of William Bouguereau's work is fantastic. This is exceptionally well painted. I really like the composition. I love how the lighting kind of directs us to the sort of the main focal point. The posing and the sort of depiction of what's happening in the image is very visceral and violent, which a lot of Bouguereau's stuff is very sort of angelic and cherubs and floating fabric and all that kind of stuff. So this one is a little bit of a departure, and I like it for that reason. Like it's just very sort of visceral and violent. And if you know who Dante and Virgil are, then you'll understand what this is about. But if not, this is a part of the Divine Comedy, where Dante is traveling down through all the rings of hell with his guide Virgil, and Dante is being shown how on each ring of hell a different sin, a different crime is being punished in a different way. And it's a good read. It's pretty hectic. It's a fantastic story. But they travel all the way down through hell, and then they end up going through like purgatory and then into heaven. And it's very interesting. There's lots of cool concepts in there. There's a lot of stuff for the imagination, There's a very amazing kind of passage where you're like hell is kind of like concentric rings that are getting smaller and smaller, and like on each layer, like I said, a different sort of crime or sin is being punished, and they're all punished in very kind of elaborate ways. It's a bit like it's a bit like Saw, but anyway, when they get to the bottom of hell, you expect it all to be like fire and lava and stuff. That's kind of the depiction of the devil that we usually have, right? But the bottom of hell is actually frozen. It's like a frozen wasteland. And there's a massive lake at the bottom of hell that's frozen, like kilometers thick ice. And the devil, Satan himself, is frozen like half in the lake. So he's kind of trapped in his own like frozen hell at the bottom of hell, and he's sort of like frozen sort of up to the chest in the ice, and they have to sort of like climb down his body. And heaven is kind of like the inverse. If you imagine like hell is going down like this and the devil's at the bottom in the frozen lake, then like purgatory and heaven starts to branch out the other way. So in a way you go through hell to get to heaven. It's a very good book. The whole collection is called The Divine Comedy, but I think it's split into 3 sections, and you can just read like any of the sections independently of each other. I actually can't remember what the first section is called. It might just be called Hell. But anyway, this painting depicts a part of that journey for Dante as he's traveling down through the rings. So, and it's fantastically painted. So I specifically just love all of the tension in the muscles of this demon here. It's just so well done. So well done. Anyway, that concludes today's old paintings. That slab. So let's continue on. So today we're going to do some warm-up stuff. I was just going to start some sketching based on like things I've been learning from the elevator sketches, the lonely elevator for one, stuff. So I'm going to sort of do some of those, but more from my head, and then maybe I'll grab some ref if I need it. But yeah, we're taking it easy today. It's so hot. I was going to stream yesterday, but I got up at 5 a.m. and I cycled to my brother's house, and we did like a big bike ride. I ended up doing like 80 kilometers on the bike yesterday between like 5 and 8:30 a.m. and that was to avoid the heat, and it was a great cycle. I had a great time, and I got home, had a shower, and then I had a nap because I was feeling a bit like tired from getting up early. And you know, sometimes if you have a nap like in the day, it can either go really well or it can just completely like ruin you, and it kind of ruined me. So I eventually ended up coming to the studio really late, but I forgot my headphones, I forgot my like drawing glove, and I was just like, fuck's sake. And then yeah, ended up jumping on a call with someone who reached out who wanted to ask me some questions, and I ended up speaking to them for about 4 hours on a call. So by that time I was just like, damn, okay, I'm just going home. I was like, Thursday's a write-off. So yeah. I recently visited Dali's exhibition of the Divine Comedy and started reading the book. Everything about the story gives me goosebumps, from the writing and later to the artworks. Yeah, it's intense. It's an intense story, but it's really cool for like just inspiration and ideas. It's been used a lot, you know. Have it in my bookcase too. Not finished Dante's Inferno. That was it. Dante's Inferno is the beginning. It takes some time for me to truly understand each chapter, but insane scenery settings, yeah. Yeah, I remember I had a copy of it that had sort of like not like notes along with it, but it was kind of like there was the text, and then kind of like a translation of it that is in more modern language that kind of helped with the whole understanding what was going on. But yeah, it's very good. It's worth it. It's worth it. So yeah, I'm just gonna do some sketching, get a bit warmed up. Good to get the machine running. That's good, because I haven't really looked at the artwork that we started on last stream at all, so I just like opened it up when I was setting up stream, but I haven't really properly looked at it. So hopefully we'll see some things we want to change, or at least figure out some of the problems. And I was trying all sorts of things last time with the tattoo and stuff, so maybe, or the body paint, not quite decided what it's going to be yet, but This man giving Nosferatu hands. He's just like, eh. Ivan Gilbert, hello. Just wanted to tell you your art is really good. Thank you, Ivan. That's very sweet of you to come and say. Yeah, thank you. I hope you're having a nice Friday. And yeah, welcome to the stream. I don't think we've had you here before. So let's have a think. Okay, proportions don't seem too bad. We've got like the sort of exponential, distance kind of idea in play. I think maybe this is a little bit long. It should be somewhere like this. We need to think a little bit more about shapes inserting into each other when we're sort of foreshortening at extreme angles. I was saying, think less about the contour and think more about the 3D shape and how it interlocks into the other 3D shape. And this way you will sort of build in the overlaps that you need in the foreshortening. If you kind of concentrate on the contour, you run into the risk of things being just like, you remember a shape, but it's all wobbly. It doesn't relate to the things around it. Whereas if you think about three-dimensional shapes and how they interlock into each other, when you then turn the view, you can understand like what you should see, what should occlude what, and so on. This guy needs like a bit of a back to his head. Electro Krieger. Hello, have you ever drawn Dinosaur? I love Dinosaur. Yeah, do you know, years ago, like this was damn, a long time ago. I did a set of like playing card illustrations, and each card was a different dinosaur instead of, the king, the jack, the 7 of clubs, all of that. They were all dinosaurs. So I did a whole series of dinosaur illustrations. Let me see, maybe I might be able to find some of these. I'm talking like I did these maybe 14 or 15 years ago. I don't even know if I even had the same email back then, but let's see. I'll search dinosaur, see what comes up. Hey, yo, I found some of them. Okay. Let me see. Sorry, I'm just going through emails to find. Just downloading some old PSDs here. This is back in 2014. I'm looking at the email. These are not going to be pretty, I'll tell you that. Here we go. Come on. That's going to be a bit of a blast from the past. Wow. So yeah, these are from 2014. These dinosaur playing cards. It's quite a shock to see them now. This is horrible. Oh, hang on. Yeah, there's more. Yep. uh, 12 years ago, you are excused, but I'm sure they will be cool. Spinosaurus. You know, they change this animal's appearance like every 4 months or so. Yeah. Yeah, Therizino. I think this is the sketch. I do remember finishing this one up, but I can't see it on the email. I think this one was like the finished one. And yeah, maybe this one is work in progress for sure. Yeah. I remember really enjoying painting this one, but I do remember finding a lot of it very difficult because the vertical format of a playing card and the like mostly horizontal nature of dinosaurs, as in like lots of dinosaurs are really long, you know, tip to tail, and this whole like foreshortening of the dinosaurs was like quite a lot for me to deal with at the time. I remember struggling a bit with that. But yeah, 14 years ago. Yeah, it's nice to see those. Not more than 14 years ago now. Oh, wait, 2014. 12 years ago. Shit. Shit, son. So there we go. Plus they're just really huge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, although I guess recently I did paint a dragon, right? I guess that's kind of a dinosaur. Dinosaur in essence, you know. This pose is crazy, actually. This person's broken. gonna sneeze. Sorry. Golly. Dude, good sneeze is good, eh? God bless. Cheers. What's going on? Toxic, you all good? The Coven Irelia image that you're doing is coming on well. Sorry, I might sneeze again. I'm back with my coffee. I woke up about 20 minutes ago with your notification. Oh, damn. Well, good. Get the coffee in. I was just saying, I thought that the piece that you're working on, the Covenant Irelia piece that you posted in the Discord, I think it's coming on nicely. I like the composition. I think you've got the style of those skins down pretty well. So yeah, hopefully you can finish it. Hang on, let me. Morning, how are things today? Yeah, Dusty, we are alright. I'm very tired though. I didn't sleep well last night, and I didn't have a great sleep the night before either, so... But otherwise we're good. I'm always tired, so it's it's nothing new. I feel like I'm always tired. Let's put it that way. Anecdotally, always tired. Thank you. I hope I can finish. I have the problem that I can't finish any of my artworks. I feel cursed. Yeah, honestly, I've definitely been there with that. Definitely been there with that. I think part of me not being able to finish anything though was like I'd get stuck, but I wouldn't study the thing that I was getting stuck at. I would just like eventually abandon a piece and start a new one. When I started to like figure out, oh, okay, I'm getting stuck on this because I don't understand like the perspective of it or how to paint this thing or blah blah blah, and then I actually started doing the studies to fix those things in the painting, then I've found that I was starting to finish stuff a bit more because I had a way to fix it. Or sometimes it just feels like you've got too many ideas and you can't stay focused on one long enough to execute it. That's why I started to sort of try and develop a rendering style that I can execute kind of quite quickly, and that seems to help as well. So that every piece doesn't have to be like a 40, 50, 60 hour slog. It's like, a few days, 20 hours max, Was it because of the heat? Yeah, defo because of the heat. Yeah, I need to practice the fundamentals. That not easy to get out of my comfort zone. Yeah, for sure. I get it. It is difficult. For sure. Did you complete your Jade friend? No, we've got him here. We've got him here. We will jump back onto this. Yeah, we'll jump back onto this as soon as I'm done kind of warming up. I just wanted to do some sketching because I was feeling kind of tired. So I just wanted to do this kind of stuff first, and then I'll jump back into that. I got to get my brain warm. So I'm just trying to put into practice stuff that I've learnt from doing my elevator studies. Look at this social gathering. Has anyone been to one of these before? What are these like? I only paint characters and abandon all backgrounds and no portfolio by that. Yeah. I feel you. Gotta spend time working on those weaknesses. It takes much less time than you think. It's just initially can just be one of those things that seems very, very daunting and time consuming in the beginning, but it's going to be all right. You just gotta jump in. You just gotta jump in. They don't know. So I've been reading this. I've got the sort of graphic novel, the collection of the comic, but the comic is called Big Game. It's by, is it Mark Miller? But the art is done by Pepe Larraz, and his art is fantastic. Let me show you some stuff. And yeah, in Big Game, essentially the story is that the world is kind of run by sort of supervillains, and they've let the superhero population like grow again, just because they've not been really curtailing it, and so then Big Game is basically they're just going around murdering all the superheroes, and they've anyway, it's fantastically drawn. This is the series, Big Game, and it collects together lots of different heroes and villains. So it's got like the Kick-Ass characters in it. It's got Nemesis. It's got all these other characters. But yeah, it's a complete like bloodbath. Basically, all the heroes are getting murdered in this. But this is the scene I was thinking of. This is on a page that I read last night, and it's like this big room where all the superheroes are like gathering for like a sort of a meet-up, and then they all get massacred. But yeah, I was just thinking of this in my head whilst we're doing that. But Pepe Larraz, the artist on this, his drawings are fantastic. Like, he's just got such a cool style. His use of like space and perspective, the way he frames up shots. He's especially really good at his facial expressions. But yeah, every character just feels really cool. Like, I've been flicking through this so much, just looking at the artwork. I read it once through, but I just pick it up every night before bed and just like flick through and look at the art. It's so good. So yeah, I really recommend this one for just a. This is what the cover of the collection looks like. Yeah, but his artwork, his drawing is amazing. Also, another artist that I recommend looking at is Greg Tocchini. He did the art for this series called Low, if you know this. But again, the way that he draws people, they just have such a good like gesture and rhythm to them. Like all of the posing is just really natural feeling, and he just has this very, very nice style. That again, especially the way he does his facial expressions and stuff. But yeah, Low's a really good series. It's like very sort of sci-fi, set underwater. Yeah, some cool characters. But he also illustrated a story called Last Days of American Crime, which Netflix made a movie of, and the movie was terrible. It just kind of missed the point and the styling of the thing, but as usual with those things. But the graphic novel is amazing, and it's all Greg Tocchini as well. But yeah, look his art up. You won't be disappointed. He's exceptional. Amazing draftsman. Just really nice, natural, flowing shapes. Every character is like, it's just very cool. So yeah, check them out. Enjoy. Reminds me of the big game similar to The Boys. No, it's not like The Boys. The Boys, big game is like, it's very fast paced. It's not particularly deep. And it's less concerned with like a story so much as it's just like a fun kind of a fun sort of revenge story, you know. It's not particularly deep. It's well drawn. There's some great action. Yeah, it's not like a really deep story or anything like that. I think The Boys has a lot more like lore and characters and like story arcs and stuff. This is really just like just fun. But yeah, it does have some violence, but it's not like outrageous. It's just I'll tell you what it reminds me of. If you've ever seen the film Smoking Aces, where it's like all those different criminals all sort of heading to the same casino, you know, to I can't remember what they're trying to do. They're trying to kill a witness, aren't they, in Smoking Aces? And they're all like hitmen. It's kind of like that. It's just like small scenes with different characters. Yeah, there's nothing really deep about it. It's just entertaining. Comic artists continue to be insane. Yeah, comic artists are at the pinnacle of like draftsmanship and stuff. It is as awe-inspiring to me. Very jealous. Dan Mora as well is another comic artist that has a really nice style. It's deceptively simple. You look at it and you're like, wow, that is super simple, but damn, is it really well put together. That's Dan Mora. Really, really good. Nothing wrong with that. Love me some good hop in and enjoy it. Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't need to know anything. I barely know who any of the characters are in Big Game. Like I know who Nemesis is, and I've heard of Kick-Ass, but I never actually watched it. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. This guy's like, hey guys. His arm's totally broken. What's going on? Hey. Sorabinator. Yeah, it is really cool. It is really cool. Greg Tocchini is incredible. And that book is just... There's just some really... Like, the way the pages are laid out and some of it is just so good. And a lot of it's set underwater, so there's all these, like, underwater cities and sort of submarine type technology, but it's all very organic, and there's just some really lovely like flowing layouts in there where it's like a big double page spread and it's just like fish, kind of submarine stuff, like marine plants, like all that kind of thing. And you're just like, oh wow, like, you know, when you open a double page up and you're like, wow, sick. The way he draws faces as well, him and Pepe Larraz like have a very similar style when it comes to drawing faces. It almost, when I first picked up Big Game, I thought it was Greg Tocchini. They do this very similar thing with the faces. Let me grab a couple of examples. You'll see what I mean. Yeah, to me, the way that they draw faces, and they sort of construct the face, feels very reminiscent of each other. And maybe it's just like a certain method of constructing the head, kind of, it's a bit more sort of Loomis-esque. You know, if you follow the Loomis method, you get like a very specific kind of look to the face that's drawn. Yeah, their stuff sort of feels a bit like that to me, and that's not a dig or anything. That's like, I like it aesthetically. But they just feel very similar in that sense. Like this kind of thing. This face is Greg Tocchini. this is Pepe Larraz. There's just like a something about the shapes and the way that they do eyes. Like they tend to do eyes like this instead of like, you know, drawing the whole shape. They tend to miss out, or at least de-emphasize the inner bottom lid. So they tend to be like this, and a lot of the time the eye will sort of join the shape at the top. So their eyes are like this. You can see it here. You know, you can see it here. You can see here there's like a sort of a de-emphasis of the bottom lid, and that is like very, very characteristic of the way they draw faces if you look through their work. Again, here's another example of here. It's like the eye shape is one continuous shape. Like it's always the sort of the lashes, the top lid, like the inside top lid, and the eye and everything, and it's like this one shape. And they tend to do that quite a bit. So something you can sort of pick up from the style. Yo, I can link you to the playlist of playlists. Here you go. Here's a few hours of perfect painting music. Oh, hang on. Have you got that? Can you see that link? I've got like both YouTube and Twitch in the same thing, but I don't know if my sending to YouTube. Hang on. Let me send this to Twitch. Here we go. There we go. Yo, Fulky H, thanks for the follow, and Label Moo also thanks for the follow. Sorry, I didn't see those. Yeah, no worries, Toxicute. I think this genre of music, sort of like dark wave, sort of dark trap, is really, for some reason, it just like syncs up well with the brain, but it is great music to paint and draw to. It's just for some reason really helps me lock in, and Jules also had the same experience with it. There's something about it. Alrighty, I think I'm warmed up enough. I'm gonna make a quick coffee, and then we'll get into painting my guy right here. Yeah, we'll get back into painting him, and yeah, we'll see where we end up with this dude. So yeah, let me make a quick coffee. I'll leave you on the warm-ups for now. Yeah. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Yo. All right. Okay, so we got some lock-in juice. Now we're back. Yeah. So this guy. Let's turn the steam off for now. Yeah, this is where we got up to with this dude. We were last working on like trying to figure out what the body paint and sort of chest embellishment situation was going to be. This is where we kind of arrived at last time. I can leave it here for now. I might like revisit the design of some of it in a bit, but I don't want to start the stream with that because I'll lose the will to live. So I think what I might do is maybe work a little bit on, what do we want to do? Yeah, let's work on the main fist here. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm gonna just like lasso out this like top surface right here, but I'm going to do it in such a way where it's all the same shape to begin with. And this way I can ensure like a sort of a continuity and a flow between these surfaces so that in and of themselves they kind of like line up with each other in a pleasing way. And then we'll sort of break that apart with the render, but this could probably be a bit thinner at the top. I like to do this like if you've got something that repeats like this, like the hand. If you do it in such a way where the rhythm is very regular, they all have the same spacing and size and everything between them. It draws the eye. You know, our eyes like pattern. We are kind of attuned to seeing patterns in things. That's why you can like look at the clouds and see faces or whatever. And like I think it comes from you know like hunting for food and stuff like that. You are attuned to look for certain things and like irregularities, and so that being said, when I'm designing stuff in an illustration like this, I try and set up rhythms, but I also try and break those rhythms in like interesting ways so that I don't form repetition where I don't want repetition. And there are places that you will want repetition, but there's a lot of things that you don't want repetition in. And for example, these surfaces here, for his hand to feel natural, like the gesture of it to feel natural, there should be a sort of a breakup to the rhythm. But it should also feel like things are generally radiating out from and moving in the same direction, so that it feels cohesive. So let me just put some strokes down, and then I'll talk a bit more about what I mean when I say that. So, what I'm trying to get across here is that, and this is already present in the line work, but it's like something I think about when it comes to like repetitive shapes and rhythm in the way that I construct surfaces. And we spoke about this in great length in the previous stream, where I went really in depth into like flow, using the analogy of graffiti and how that relates to composition as a whole. If you're interested in that very in-depth conversation that we had about that, let me get the stream link for you, and then I'll continue with what I was going to say. Okay, so if you want the full in-depth explanation, that is the link to the previous stream where we specifically talked about flow and composition. But I'll do a kind of a brief overview of it here because I'm about to paint something that has that. So we're painting this kind of glove that he's got on with the fingers, okay? And if we think about that, we have, you know, four fingers, okay, that are all arranged together. And what I tend to see is what people do is everything will have the same width, and everything will like line up cleanly together, and essentially it just becomes like chunky blocks. And this sets up a repetition that is very eye-catching because there is no break to it, and so it feels kind of unnatural, right? And that kind of draws our eye, like I was talking about before. It's and what I like to do is try and set up a rhythm where we will have shapes that repeat like these fingers, but for example here we're going to have a difference where, you know, this one's going to be the thickest one, this one's going to be a little bit thinner, this one's going to be thinnest, and the way that they flow together is like they're sort of going to appear like they're all being influenced by the same kind of underlying directional energy. So I'm almost imagining a point like down here that the sort of the knuckles and the tops of the fingers and the sort of knuckle parts and like the edge of the thumb, you know, the top of the thumb, this finger, you know, all of these things are going to appear like it's radiating out from a single point. So there's going to be this nice kind of, I can break up the rhythm this way with different shaped pieces, you know, like this, but it's going to appear like it's at least all radiating out from one point. And to a certain extent, these lines are going to sort of appear to radiate back from another point, sort of back here. So there's going to be all of these like flows that come together to build the three-dimensional shape, which is going to be less visually jarring than like everything being exactly the same width and space apart, you know, like this. This is going to be very, very visually jarring. This is going to be, it's still going to feel solid, but it's going to be arranged in such a way that it feels like it has a bit of movement, a bit of energy to it. And this is already kind of present in the line work, you know. In my line work here, as you can see, that idea, these surfaces, they're starting to have that flow to them. But in the render, I'm going to sort of push that even further. And as I explained in that other stream, I always try and think of shapes in this way. I'm like constantly when I'm at this stage in the illustration, I am making an effort to do this with all of my shapes. splash art stream in this economy? Yeah, what's going on? Unrelated, his boogie flicking game is insane. Yeah, you ain't ever finding those. Or you're finding them miles from the scene. You can never get blamed for it. One of your life goals at the moment is to make a splash art. Everything feels so overwhelming. I mean, it's an illustration that has a lot of stuff in it that you gotta, understand and get right in a way. So it's a series of kind of problem solving puzzles that you've got to come up with. But that isn't just specific to splash art. That is making illustrations in general. They're very much like big problem solving exercises. Some of those problems are just like some fundamental or other that you're not that strong with, and you need to sort of study specifically whether it's like a specific material that you're struggling to paint, or it's the figures in space or whatever it is in that manner. But you just do a separate isolated study of that thing, understand how it works, and then come back and affix it to your current illustration. But yeah, there's a lot to think about when it's got to be like aesthetically pleasing, tell a story, have the composition needs to be understood to give off the impression that you want it to give. All that stuff is difficult. I draw an iPad and man, this posture thing is rough. Started doing the line work and only got one character out. I wonder if there are any good stands available on the market. Yeah, the one that I use I've got a Huion tablet, right? And the one that I use came with it, and it is great. It is very simple design. Let me put this down. Show you. It is just this, and it goes up at different heights. It's very dusty on the inside, as you can see. But I just lean the tablet on it. It's got this little lip, and it's perfect. You can change the height. It's got different, different arms, so you can have a much more shallow thing. But it's perfect. I'm sure this would work pretty well for an iPad. It's very lightweight as well, and it folds flat. And this, it's small. It's probably about the size of your iPad. So, yo, Liz212, thanks for the follow. I'm just looking at the notifications there. I tried to do a splash art on the iPad before on Procreate once a few years ago, and it was hella difficult. I could not find a brush that I liked, and I just hate the feel of the pen on the iPad, like the feel of it on the glass and everything. But I did try the Wacom Move Ink the other day, and that was really good. It was way better than I expected it to be. Like it felt just like this Huion that I'm working on right now. Like it just feels like it. The pen that you get is really nice as well. It's very thin, like a real pencil. And the surface of the Move Ink just has like a slight texture to it, which is really nice. You don't need to buy any like aftermarket paper feel type thing. It's just out the box was like that. I was very impressed with it. Usually those kind of like portable Wacom things, they've never been that good. I've never once enjoyed one, but this was like, oh shit, okay. Not sponsored. I'll wait for Huion to do like one that's half the price and double as good. So yeah, I also I think I'm just so not used to touch gestures as part of my workflow that on Procreate it just seems super alien to me to have touch gestures for things. It just feels like very awkward to do, to sort of lift the pen and then use your fingers to do something, then go back to the pen. Like that's just not how I work in Photoshop. You know, it's just my pen is doing everything, or my other hand is doing the buttons. To just sort of, it interrupts my flow quite a bit, is what I found, and I just really didn't enjoy it. I wanted it to work because I do love the idea of you know, being that portable, but it's just not that great for what I need it for. As usual, I haven't designed the look of any of this, so we're just freestyling right now. What's that? Illustrator doesn't design character before illustration? Struggles in illustration? Yeah. I think I would probably invest in a move ink at some point, but I need to be doing some regular work before I do that. Got to be sensible. You know what I mean? Something great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, this brush just has a texture to it that kind of makes it look like the light coming through the texture of the Ponamu. That's why I picked this brush, because it's going to help in that sense. Pick the right brush for the job, you know. Let's hit save quick. Patrick, what's going on? Hope you're well. May I ask if you could explain the difference between splash art and an illustration? It feels like everyone is calling any sort of illustration splash art by now, especially on social media. Thanks. It's just like there isn't a difference. It's an illustration. It's just a splash art is that term kind of coined for these kind of character based, like League of Legends, style character illustration that just got coined as a splash art. Like if you're making a website, for example, you might make a splash page, right, as part of the website. This is like a sort of a landing page that people are going to arrive at on the website, and it will have like all sorts of information. And a splash art is kind of that same sort of thing. It's like it is like a jumping off point or a landing point to you, like understanding the character. And so it got coined like as, this is a splash art, but it's just an illustration. It's just a character illustration. And yeah, obviously people want to like emulate or jump on that, or just have that same association with their artwork. So people just throw the term around a lot, and that's probably where the confusion comes in, because I think other people just get confused about it as well. But it's just an illustration. There's nothing like particularly special about it. It's just a buzzword. It's basically a character-based marketing illustration is what it really is. And yeah, I think maybe even Riot had coined the term splash art, because those artworks would be on like, the character page of the website and the, what do you call it, the League launcher. So it's like that's the splash page for the character, and then that's the art that goes on the splash page. So it's the splash art. Do you know what I mean? It ultimately doesn't mean anything. It's just one of those coined words. But people just use it all the time now, I think, for everything. But it's a helpful term if you're looking for a certain type of artwork. Do you know what I mean? In a way, if you're looking for splash art, you've got a certain thing in mind that you're looking for because of, the connotation and everything. So it's just kind of like if you label something as splash art, that is, a character-based sort of marketing illustration. People know what it is they're looking at now. Do you see what I mean? Where's the actual splash art? Yeah, David Hockney. David Hockney made the OG splash. Uh, I was actually at a drawing meetup when the eclipse happened, so I noticed that it got like a little bit darker outside than it would have done usually, but yeah, otherwise I didn't see it. I saw it when it first came around in like 1999 or something. I saw the OG one, man. Part of me, instead of it being the eclipse, I low-key just wanted it to be like the movie Melancholia and the and for us to just get winked out by a massive planet. But it didn't happen. We're still here. So shame, I guess. Yeah, I saw some really good pictures. You know, what really amazed me is like the pictures you get from like the light shining through like little gaps in leaves and stuff, and it just makes all these like swirly patterns everywhere. It looks proper trippy. Yeah, yeah. When you see the like you said, you see the eclipse like they had it in Spain, for example, and you just like you would think the sun's just been eaten. You know, it's pretty cool. Saw it on Reddit. Spain looks like Dark Souls 3. Yeah, it did. It did that. It looked crazy. It looked like the dark sign, didn't it? Here for it. It looked cool. The dark side. this sample of like the ice in the drink always like it's very like ASMR-y. Man, my hand is like sticking to my tablet even through the glove. It's so like warm and sticky and bleh. Uh. 45 degrees. Oh my god. That's horrible. Inhuman temperatures. Exactly. No, I mean I don't wish the good weather away, but it does make it a little bit difficult. Oh man. You cannot wait for winter. Damn. I don't. I'm enjoying being able to go out on my road bike any time I want right now, just because the weather's so good. That yeah, and just hit the bike whenever I want. I'm enjoying that. I will miss that in winter when it's like going to be a bit harder to do that. A bit more of a slog. Oh, sorry. I'm so tired. Winter here is 23 degrees. Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. That's not winter, is it? It's like 1 degrees here. 45 degrees is just... It's like Arrakis. Okay, I can't be bothered painting this hand anymore. We got a whole nother one to paint, but I'm not doing it right now. Believe that. All right, let's work on the background a little bit, because I want to let's get rid of all these like mist layers for now. We'll get down to the roll stuff, and we'll start painting on top of this. Is this commission piece of personal project, if you don't mind me asking, or commission? It's just personal portfolio work. It just started off as a kind of an idea in my mind, which then became a sketch, and I was like, oh, I'll do this on stream. I'll just this can just be something that I work on stream for a few streams, and and then I'll add it to my portfolio and then just move on. It's not a commission. It's just something I felt like drawing. Actually, what am I doing here, really? I don't really need to do this bit so much, because it's going to be in the background. Let's Honey Bubble. I love how little value difference there is on his hands, but it's so clearly readable. I admire people who can paint so much. I'm too line art heavy. My color theory knowledge could never. I mean, it's. Thank you, first of all. Thank you. I think that it's something you develop over time. There's sort of sensibilities for when is enough detail, and kind of simplifying what you're seeing. I think mostly the secret is to understand where your light sources are and really only paint the details in the transitions away from those light sources. What I mean is, if you've got an object like this, okay, and this object has like a carving in it, blah blah blah, all the way around. And you want to sort of have it come across in like this very sort of simplistic kind of way, or a way that seems like, well, just like this, I guess. Details only where it's needed, kind of thing. Either it shows up like where the light is directly hitting it. So let me just do something like this. So the light's directly hitting the pattern, and it's something like this. Or you show that in the transition between light and shadow. So, and similarly, if there's a light source from the bottom, it's going to hit the cylinder along its length like this. So you can show a little bit of that texture in there, and like the eye will sort of make up the rest. It will sort of connect the dots, if you like, between those things. So you don't need an awful lot of detail. The other thing you can do is, like, if it has a texture to it, let's say this just has a slight rough texture to it, right? And I have where the light directly hits it, and then in this halftone area is where I show that texture. Okay, and that's sort of like, so I show it in the halftone as it transitions into the shadow, and I show it in the highlight. And that way the eye kind of extrapolates this detail, and it's like, oh, this is everywhere. The whole thing's like this. And it's just sort of simplifying down to those things, because that's kind of how we see. Sorry, give me one sec. I just got to answer some messages. I'm curious, how do... Hang on, what am I looking at? I'd look into Hayao Miyazaki's work. His studies does a fantastic job mixing beautiful painting and line art. Oh, nice. I'm curious, how do you approach the thumbnailing process for your splashes? Because some artists I see start with blocking shapes right off the bat, and some with fine line art, and some with loose sketches. Well, I mean, yeah, people have different approaches based on like how they're comfortable conceiving ideas, and I guess what their sensibilities are when it comes to certain things. Like sometimes I will start a piece with line art, you know, sometimes I will start in shape, sometimes with loose sketching, sometimes I'll even start a little bit in 3D. Like it really just, you know, sometimes the idea itself is something that I can just start sketching because I can conceive of it that way. Other times I have a rough idea, I do a very loose sketch, and I'm like, actually, let's jump into 3D and build some bits out and go from there. Like I don't tend to necessarily stick to the same method. It's more based on like how the image is coming across in my mind, and how complicated it is. Like sometimes the image is like quite complicated, and so I need something to hold on to, whether that's like the geometry from 3D or, you know, a more detailed sketch or something like that. It's really sort of based on what the illustration needs. Like this one started off as a sketch. I sort of then made the space in 3D very briefly, just to sort of see that it was going to work, and then continued with it just in 2D as line work, and then going into flats and painting it. Yeah, but you know, other works that I did on here recently, we just started sketching and went straight into painting. Like it just it doesn't always happen the same way. The illustration will generally dictate the way in which it wants to be painted. I don't mean that in like a very sort of like woo kind of way. It's just some things are more complicated and need structure and need like a bit more preparatory work, and other things just whether they're more comfortable for you to paint or just a subject, you know, or something like that. They just don't require as much like mental input, so you can do something like just jump straight into painting or use shapes. It actually doesn't matter how you thumbnail at all. Like it doesn't. You know, obviously what you present to clients should be readable and like show them what they want and so on. So there might be some work you have to do on top of the way that you like thumbnailing to make it presentable for clients. But in terms of like the way you do them and the way you figure it out, it really just comes down to what the illustration needs. And I will just go with what seems to be the better way to figure it out. It's just being versatile, I guess. Thumbnails are a mystery to me too. The way I have always learned to draw is very direct. I don't usually try to find shapes, I just do them, which is nice and confident. But lots of times I struggle with composition. I have to learn to do more thinking beforehand, and thumbnails are obviously very helpful for that. I just struggle to let go of the system I've learned and try to incorporate something new, basically. Yeah, I mean, I do sometimes find thumbnails a little bit annoying for the fact that, you know, sometimes there is really only one way to tell the story effectively. And when you have to like make 3 thumbnails to sort of satisfy the client's need to feel like they've seen everything, you can find yourself like really struggling to come up with 3 compositions that really tell the story effectively, you know? And I do find that a little bit annoying sometimes. But a lot of the time, yeah, it just comes down to changing, you know, exactly like how the posing is going to work, or like what the light sources are going to be, or even just shifting the colors slightly to, you know, better hit the mood that's being looked for and stuff like that. It doesn't always need to be massive changes. You're not effectively rewriting you don't have to rewrite the story every single time for a different thumbnail. But like, let's just say it's you know, a Superman cover, you know, and they're you know, and the brief is something like, you know, they need to see Superman on the edge of a building, like standing above the city. It's a low angle, and Superman needs to appear, you know, like powerful or whatever. So you wouldn't necessarily even need to change the pose for that. It's just, I'll show you what I mean. There are different ways to sort of show that with the lighting that are just as important as like the posing. But when a brief is like quite specific and it's not really about like, oh, changing the pose or anything, it's just like, how best do we tell that story, and in what ways do these separate thumbnails best tell that, you know? So let's just do this as a quick example. Okay, so we got Soup, and the brief basically tells us this, right? He's standing on the edge of the building, low angle, we're looking up at him, he needs to feel really powerful. So the brief basically locked us into this already. So in terms of thumbnails, like, not looking to, let's just duplicate this, not looking to reinvent this in any way. Like, I don't need to do that, but what I can think about is that how the lighting is going to affect this, and different ways that we could show Superman off here that would still hit everything the brief has. It's just going to come across in like a different mood, a different way. So let's say in this one we put the sun like right behind him like this, so he's basically a silhouette. We wouldn't even really see his face, so much in this one. He's really going to be like, you know, fogged out with the bloom. So maybe just get like his chest plane, something like this. Yeah, maybe there's the clouds in here, and it's like super sunny day, the light streaming through like this. You know, and Superman here appears very powerful, right? He's got the sun behind him. It's a very kind of iconic graphic shape right here. Bright day, we're looking up at him. Superman, super powerful, right? You could do something as well where the sun is, say, like off screen, but is really sort of focused on him like this. So we light the side of his face, you know, and the side of his body here like this. So he's just really clear, really lit, jumps out from the sky. We could have some very dramatic clouds behind him, really, really big, like tall, you know, super cumulonimbus clouds, right? You have these big clouds behind him, you know. The sun's on those as well, and it's just very epic at this point. Okay, and again, this would be quite dark down here. So that could be a second version, and it does exactly the same thing, right? It's got all the elements of the brief in it, but we just changed the context and the lighting. And then on this one, let's say we do sort of this sort of classic shot where it's like there's a floodlight shining up on the building. Like this, and it's at night. It's at night like this. And we have him lit from below. You know, we're looking up at him. The light is coming from, you know, like a police light or something, or just like torchlight. And it's just like, damn, yeah, Soup's really powerful here. Maybe the moon's up here, and we just get like, again, a little bit of a rim light picks out his face and shoulder and stuff. This presents him as very powerful. It's a little bit like different in its mood, you know, but again, it still answers the same thing. And this is you know, all of these answer the brief, but we haven't had to come up with a whole different pose for each one. The lighting adds, and the light and the environment adds its own context, and so on. And you know, this is what I try and think about with thumbnails sometimes when there really only appears to be like one answer to the way that it should come across. In terms of like posing or setup, you know, the brief has been very specific, or it's just kind of like, yeah, it really seems like this should be the way it is pose wise, then I'll do this instead and try and do that with the lighting and the context of it. So this could be a way for you to get into doing or learning to do thumbnails by just being direct with the thing you want to do. You come up with the pose, you already like it, but why not try out some different lightings and context, and you know, try and make it work that way. And this will just get you thinking about it a bit more, a bit differently. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, thumbnails, it's there to sort of satisfy the client's need to feel like they've seen everything. And you just got to play ball there, essentially. For me, right now, I'm thinking about the big rendering or micro compositions. I'm sort of thinking how I can get my values right and make thumbnails have a clear direction or reading, so perhaps I have to put a lot of hours on thumbnails. Yeah, I mean, you can just practice thumbnails as well without actually even having to make a full piece. Like this little exercise is quite useful for that. You know, pick a character, what is it? This is how quite a lot of briefs look for stuff, right? Give yourself this context: mood, action, focus. Okay, so mood might be dramatic. Okay, action might be, let's say, Batman landing from jump. And the focus, Batman's facial expression. Okay, so you just lay out a brief for yourself like this, and then do 3 thumbnails like that, based on this, and try and hit that. You just come up with different ways of doing that. Like, yeah, I can already think of different ways of how I would put this together. And just do a little thumbnail exercise. It doesn't have to take long. It doesn't have to be anything more than this, but it just get your mind thinking about how to present that in an interesting way. I think that'd be quite a worthwhile and fun exercise to do. Let's go back to this guy. This guy. Yo, been lurking while I'm in work meetings all day. Yo, what's up, Sarah? Oh, sorry, itchy nose there. What's going on? Doing a big enemy design day today, so just on lunch break. Ooh. I love enemies. Villains. Villains are good. Villains are good. So I don't have super long. I got like maximum like an hour left today because just gonna go hang out with Daisy this afternoon because I'm away all weekend. So yeah, we're just gonna hang out, do something nice. I gotta go pick up my car as well. Just oh, Toxicute. Sorry, thanks for the sub. I missed that. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Yeah, I need to set up my stream alerts again. They've gone. Steamy. The Steam's gonna like ultimately really sell the atmosphere in this piece. I need to work on these like cave stalactite type things. And I didn't look at any of this ref before stream today, so let's have a quick look. Okay. Carve out the steam. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Anything like that, steam, like magic, anything kind of wispy and flowy like that. I love doing stuff like that. It's 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 one of my favorite things to conceive of. I like that the abstract nature of it, you know. I recently did a commission illustration, but the guy commissioning me was so new to art. He was like, "Yeah, that's great," to everything I did, which is, I wouldn't call it unhelpful, but yeah, it was a normal commission. He will use it for commercial purposes. Even it was for a Dungeons and Dragons thing. I did like 2 thumbnails, and the guy said, "Yep, that's great. That's the one." Got me slightly unsure because of his inexperience, but I mean, he paid for it, so the customer is happy, and so am I. Yeah, I mean, you know, uh, uh, that does happen. I think if yeah, that does happen, and I can understand why it's a little bit disconcerting sometimes. Like, sometimes you actually do want some feedback and some direction. You know what I mean? It's sometimes a little unhelpful to just have someone be like, "Yeah, cool, that's exactly what I wanted." But yeah, I mean, you're also lucky because that kind of thing can turn into a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, I can understand why it's a bit weird, but to be honest, that is also kind of a bit of a dream where you can just just execute and do the thing you were asked to do, and they liked it, and then they're just happy with it. Yeah, trust me, he will miss that. But yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes it's nice to get a bit of direction, and to make sure that you are actually doing the thing that they're asking for, and something the other. But some people also just aren't used to commissioning artwork, so they don't really know what to say. If you're commissioning artwork and you really don't have any, well, someone's like written a book, and they want to get it published, but and they've never commissioned any art, and they don't really have the vocabulary to even describe what they want properly. They don't have any references or anything like that. I mean, those jobs are really difficult. You have someone that just essentially doesn't really know what they want and can't really describe it to you, and so they just see that you've done something, it looks okay, and they're like, yeah, that's what I wanted. That is going to happen sometimes. Yeah. I've definitely been someone that has done stuff without contract before, and it has backfired. And it can be a bit of a pain in the butt to sort out. But and the contract doesn't necessarily even keep you safer. It's just it's kind of a deterrent. But it's definitely worth doing. I definitely didn't do it when I first started taking commissions, way back when. I just was like very much freestyling all of that, and it did backfire on me a few times. But then luckily everything I do now is all contract work, so it's that aspect of it is not an issue anymore. When you asked him for the resolution, he said you're using big words. Oh no. Yeah, I once got like a really weird sort of commission request, and I think ultimately the person just actually wanted to just have some kind of interaction or be friends. Do you know what I mean? They were like a fan of my of some of the work that I'd done for Battle Right, and they wanted to commission me, but then they actually didn't really know what they wanted, and they were just like, yeah, you like just do some Battle Right image, you know, and this, that, and the other, and yeah, it was just very weird, and it just ultimately it came down to I think they just wanted to like have some kind of interaction, and they never really specified exactly what they wanted, and like I never actually even ever did any of the work because we couldn't like agree on what he was actually even after, and ultimately I just had to like leave it and was like, this is all a bit strange, my guy. This isn't how you make friends. Sometimes I have to talk through the different options, not just show it. And then they start to actually see what they like and don't like. Yeah, I liken it to a sales pitch, honestly. If I've also got a thumbnail that I think, yo, this is the one, like, they just don't know it yet. I go into like full sales pitch mode, you know. I will talk about all of them, but I will really sell the one that I like, you know. I'll use all the big words, and I'll get them jazzed on it. I'll be like, yeah, you know, this one comes across, it does this, it has that, blah blah blah, and it's like you're selling something. I had that once forever ago. They called me at like 3 a.m. wanting to play games, and I was like, what the fuck? Oh, damn. Yeah. No, I think this person was just like a fan of the game and the fan of the like the art that I had done for the game, and just wanted to like some sort of interaction with me, and so pretended basically that they were there to commission some artwork, but it was ultimately a very strange like interaction, you know. And they kept wanting me to play the game as well with them, and I was like, I'm not offering out my like services as a friend. Like, you got in contact because you wanted to commission some artwork, but it appears like you don't really want to do that because you don't even know what you want, and you just trying to push this kind of social thing the whole time. It's honestly very strange. Yeah, I've never had it happen since. That was the one and only time. But yeah, it did make me feel very uncomfortable. Yeah, this person saw me at Comic Con, started off like, I want a commission, and ended with me having to block them. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Fesovsky, thanks for the follow, by the way. Um, yeah, I can see that. I feel like that probably happens a lot more to ladies as well. Um, yeah, some people are very strange. Yeah, I've met some odd people, odd characters over the years for sure. Um, okay, it does happen. It happens quite a bit at workshops. You know, a lot of people want portfolio reviews and to come and talk and stuff. Totally fine. Totally down with that. No issues with that whatsoever. But yeah, some people just have a really weird way of going about that. They just kind of stand around. They don't really talk. They are always around when you're talking to other people, but never seem to be like active in the conversation. And ultimately, they just kind of make it really awkward because they're always there. And eventually, I have to be like, are you looking for a critique? Like, is that what we're angling for? You know, this is very bizarre to me. I get being nervous in front of people. I get nervous as well, you know, but I don't do that. Just like introduce yourself, say hello. If I'm talking to someone, just be like, hey, when you're done, do you mind if we have a chat? Like, yeah, of course. That's normal. It's equal in Comic Cons, to be honest. Guys just are less likely to talk about it and ask for help. I have secret phrases at Comic Con that if I say them, then my team friends know I need help. Yeah, fair. That's good. That's a good setup. Yeah, usually my wife has been pretty good with the saves. Just come over and be like, "Oh, hey, Alex, we got we got to go sort this thing out." I'm like, "Oh, okay, thanks. Great, let's go." 15 does the same for me. Yeah, exactly. She Daisy will know. She'll clock. She'll clock that someone has like weapons grade social awkwardness to the max and get me out of there. But again, luckily, a lot of this hasn't happened for a while, so I'm not saying it like it's insanely regular or something. It's just... Yeah, 100%. Like, pretty much everyone I spoke to at Develop last was great. Like, just nice, friendly people. You get the odd person that's like aggressively networking, and those kind of people drive me up the pole, but I just ignore them. I understand that people are there to network. I'm also at events to do the same. But some people, it's like they're doing it. They're doing it as if the end goal is to speak to every single person in the room, and not like to, talk to people and like talk to relevant people for yourself, and maybe just sort of start a friendship, start a conversation, right? These people that just come around and they're like insane. They've been told that they need to like give their business card out and like introduce themselves, and they just like speak at a million miles an hour, just like super over enthusiastic. They don't seem to like listen to anything anyone's saying. They're just like going group to group, just doing this like in hyper aggressive networking where it's just insane. Like, those people drive me up the fucking pole. It's always students as well, because they've been told like they need a business card, and they've been told they should talk to everyone, and there is no nuance to it whatsoever, and it's crazy. Coupled with the fact that they might have like a big ego because they're like 20 years old and they're at uni, and they're just like, I'm on top of the world right now. Those people really wind me up. Yeah, on a total mission. It's insane. There was someone like that on Wednesday at the meetup that I went to, and it was just like, dude, take a day off, mate. nothing makes me want to know you less. Do you know what I mean? It's the opposite of what you think it's doing. The business card is getting left on the table where you put it. Do you know what I mean? It's not, shit's not coming home with me. Yeah, my uni course pushed us to pushed us to do that, but I never did it aggressively. Just had the cards in my showcase and spoke. Yeah, exactly. There is a totally normal and acceptable way to do those things. I'm not knocking the advice to like go to events and talk to people. That's exactly what you should do, right? It's networking is a huge part of getting into the industry, right? But there are just ways to do that aren't insane. And for most people, they know what that line is. It's not even something you need to worry about accidentally crossing. Like, I can't imagine being that intense. I get so nervous. It takes me forever to actually get to the courage to say hi to people, but everyone's so nice, thankfully. Yeah, exactly. I get nervous talking to people as well. It's not, you know, I I find those social situations very very intense and like it just takes a lot of brain power, you know, keeping conversation going and, you know, just listening and trying to help, especially if you know, I've been asked to do a portfolio review or something like that. The person who's asked for the review is talking to me and telling me stuff. I'm looking at the work, trying to figure out like what they are looking for, like how best to help them, you know, thinking, you know, what could I point, trying to gauge them as well. Like, is this someone that I can actually give proper feedback to, or is this person just looking for like an ass pat? You know, all these things. It makes it nervous, you know. You know, sometimes I've been asked for feedback and it's clear actually that the person doesn't really want feedback. They just want to be told they're good. And so you start giving them like proper feedback and then the conversation sours because they're like, that's not really what they wanted. And you're essentially telling them that there's stuff they need to work on. I hate that. Yeah, Dusty. Someone that's happened a lot. That's happened a lot. Like I said, it's this a certain type of person that has, you know, in essence, some pretty decent work, right? And that's where I think their ego comes from, is because like maybe they are the best in their uni class, you know, or they're like the best in their peer group. And so they're not really used to like proper feedback, and they get a portfolio review. I don't think necessarily deliberately in their mind they're looking to be told they're great, but I don't think they're expecting to have someone like just sort of tell them, oh, okay, yeah, you need to work on this thing I don't quite understand, like this composition is a bit confusing, but like they're just not used to like direct feedback, and yeah, they take it badly. Either they start countering everything you say with like, oh, but this was something that I was trying to do, blah blah blah, and there's an explanation for everything. Like everything you say, there is an explanation for why it isn't that way, and it's like not something that's present in anything that they've shown you. You know, it's just becomes like anything you say is countered by some excuse or other. Or they get quite argumentative. And as you can imagine, if you're the person giving feedback and you're in that situation now, you're just like, oh, Jesus. What is going on? I would die for any kind of feedback. I think they're precious. Yeah, for sure. Exit immediately with kind nothings. Especially with art, there's always room for improvement. Almost everyone, every time. So I don't get that arrogance. Totally. Yeah, there's always room for improvement. Like, but this attitude is a lot of the time, like I said, from students. Okay, like they're in a bubble. They're in their university bubble, and these people tend to be like the best in their peer group or like the best in their university class, and they're just not used to anyone actually telling them anything other than praise about the work. So it just comes as like a shock to them that it's not good because they're being told it is already. And I never give people rude feedback. Like it's not that I'm saying to someone, hey, this is rubbish, and not giving them any explanation or anything to fix it. It would just be, hey, this composition is a little bit confusing. Like the first thing I look at is this bright spot, but it has nothing to do with our focal point. And so it kind of led me off from that. And then at the focal point, I have this thing which is a little bit confusing for this reason, and maybe the pose feels a little bit broken, like the twist in the body. I think the hips are under rotated, and the rib cages are over rotated, and we get this kind of skewing to the figure, or the perspective here is off. It's the kind of critiques that I give. They're reasoned. It's never just like I don't like this or anything like that. It's always based on some technical knowledge or principle, But then I think a lot of university courses and stuff are just, that they aren't giving the students these like tools and critiquing them in such a way that helps them improve, and maybe they don't even know how to help them improve. So just the whole thing's a bit of a mess. Yeah, especially at an event. Arrogance is easy to understand. Art is egotistical. Look at what I drew, everyone please, but you should be arrogant enough to want to have better in spite of your ego. Yeah, some people are just not like that, unfortunately. Yeah, I get what you mean. I'm still in school. I know exactly what you're saying. I know a bunch of people like that. Yeah, I bet. I think having a clear goal in mind makes it easier too, which is hard to define at that point for some people. Yeah, for sure. I think the most kickback I've had as well is with designers more than like illustrators as well. Like people that would like to be a character designer, for example, and they have zero understanding of what design even is. So, you know, they can't explain their designs because they aren't designs in the first place. And they get really, really angry. Thanks, Ivan. Much appreciated. Let's put all the steam back on. All the atmosphere. I will like adjust the colors a little bit in this as well, because I feel like our man gets a little bit lost, but we can adjust all that in a bit. Yeah, geez, like the amount of times that I see this in a portfolio. Okay. If you're a character designer, listen up. If you do shorts, thank you very much for clipping. Yeah, I just don't have the capacity to go through my stuff and clip out bits. It's a full-time job in and of itself, you know. Okay. This is my amazing example. Okay, so they're set out like this. They've got their thumbnails. You know, they're like silhouette designs. And then they've got their like refined, you know, first picks, second picks, whatever, and then they've got their final design. Okay, nothing wrong with this format, right? But then I start asking them about like, oh, interesting, like why is the shoulder pad like this shape, and like what's it made of, etc. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, oh, and like, why did you pick like this design instead of like, you know, this one or this one? Like, tell me about the rationale. What's the rationale behind picking like this one over this one and like this, that, and the other? And what it comes down to is they think the design process is draw 10, yeah, and pick your favorite one, and that's design. And it and that's not design, okay? Like, design is you have your brief or your problem that you need to solve, okay? And you are looking for solutions to solve these problems, and those solutions can be practical or they can be aesthetic, okay? But ideally they're going to be some mix of both, okay? And if you know kind of anything about design, a lot of things look the way they do because of the way they function, right? A digger looks like a digger, and the parts of a digger look the way they do because of the function that the digger has to perform, right? You don't get diggers made of glass You don't get diggers that have like nice modeled, styled bodywork on them, because it's a working machine. It's a heavy machine. It does heavy lifting stuff. Like, it has exposed hydraulics because there's no point covering them up. They're easier to get to fix. All of these reasons about its function become part of its aesthetics, right? And they're intrinsically mixed. So, like, you'll end up seeing a design that's got, like, it's a fisherman kind of dude. He's like a village fisherman, for example. And he's got, like, a huge fucking metal shoulder pad. Okay? And he's carrying, like, all of his lobster pots and everything on a belt. Okay? And he's got loads of belts and like straps and stuff. He's got straps around his legs and all sorts of shit. Okay? And he's got whatever, some shoes on. And it's like, what's this shoulder pad for? And they're just like, oh, I just thought it was cool. And I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a cool shape, but what's its function? Like, why does the fisherman need a huge shoulder pad? Like, are we fishing for fish that are like particularly violent, and then like it, is that the reason for that? Is it some sort of protection from what they're fishing? And it's like, no, okay. Does it function as some kind of, block for the sun? No, it's just they thought it looked cool. And like, just really impractical stuff, like, carrying all of this stuff on a belt, like super heavy stuff. And it's just like, there's no thought gone into this. It's all this. And even that has like zero functionality built into it. So, and I see this all the time for the character design stuff, that people actually don't know what the design part of it is. They're not designing anything. They're just like, they're quite literally drawing 10 things, picking their favorite one, and just doing a better drawing of it. And they think that's character design. And then they understand why no one will hire them. Because they're like, yo, I'm sick at character design. It's like, you haven't once designed anything. It's crazy. But that's honestly not fully a personal fault. Half the people in that situation haven't done anything yet except be in school, so their point of reference is just not filled out yet. Well, they haven't been taught design. That's the problem. It's not about like how old you are or how experienced you are or aren't. It's just you haven't been taught about design or what design is and how to design. So it's more on the fault of the teaching than the person. Yeah, I think that's my problem. I don't think about design before the painting. I just trying to paint beautiful girls with some dramatic lights and poses, realizing my situation hurts. Hey, I do the same. I jumped into this without any thought to the design whatsoever, so pot calling the kettle black here. Feels like the silhouette got locked in early and then they just added stuff to serve the silhouette, not the actual character or gameplay. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you in that example when you're doing the fisherman, like, you could ask some questions like, what kind of fish are they fishing? Where are they fishing? Is it off a boat, off a pier? Is it deep sea? Are they fishing like dangerous fish? Are those fish like, nocturnal? Are they really deep? Are they shallow? Are they massive? Are they small? All of those questions you could ask, and all of those questions you could answer within your thumbnails. So you're like, okay, this is my fisherman. He's got, and the research as well. Like, when you do the research, You got to ask those questions. When you see, like a fisherman, you know, and he's got a big hat like this, and it's weaved out of, like grass or straw or something. You've got to ask, like, why? And figure out the function, the design, the problem that it's trying to solve. Oh, we need a big hat because we're fishing out in the ocean and there's no cover. So we need something to block the sun. Why is it made of grasses and reeds? They live in a little fishing village. Grasses and reeds are like the only material around here that grows that they can make this stuff out of. It's cheap, it's everywhere, it's easy to weave. Great. There's so many things that you could do with that information in terms of the design. Then you could come up with like some cooler shapes for it. Maybe it's weaved in a certain way. Like maybe they tie knots together and do something like that. That's then how you're designing stuff and how you research. It isn't just like look at some pictures and then just regurgitate like stuff with no meaning behind it, or with no meaning in your mind behind it, and then pick your favorite one and do it. It's that kind of stuff drives me up the pole. I also think people miss that it's not just lots of options, it's iteration and exploration. Get rid of what doesn't work, follow what does until the best solution emerges. Yeah, exactly. Back at it again with the Heath. Yo, what's up, Dan? Hope you're doing well, my guy. Kisha, gotta go. No worries. See you later. Maybe they're inspired by how fishing birds cover the water and their wings, so it's shaped and curved to match the local respective bird god or something. Yeah, exactly. The world building aspects of it like come into play, and it's, exciting. I just see a lot of like uninspired, not very exciting stuff. It's boring. It's boring. Right, what time is it? 5 to 1. The Jade. It's looking alright. It's looking alright. Flat and uninspired. That was a one-line feedback I got from an art test. Most brutal rejection email ever. Still cracks me up. Yeah, that's pretty good, Dan. That's flat and uninspiring. Take care. You're like, oh, fuck. Well. Yeah, it's so brutal. But was it true? Was it true, Dan? Had you made ultimately some very flat and uninspiring work? I don't mind brutal if it's true. If it's true and it's like, word, all right, I kind of respect it. But if it's ultimately not true and it's just being mean for mean's sake, then screw that guy. You're not sure others didn't think so. Fair enough. In which case it was just mean. So, shame, dude. Shame, dude. Most painful I got was, I can see your anxiety in every brushstroke. They were right too. It wasn't me, was it? I didn't tell you that, did I? I mean, ultimately it wasn't good enough, so like, that's what it is. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I remember... Hello, no, this was years ago. Okay. That was I didn't think it was me, but I had to check. Yeah, when I first started out, before I even started at the atelier, I like seeked out some concept artists in London, you know, to try and look at my work, because I was like, yo, my sketchbook's pretty good. I'm gonna get someone to tell me that, you know. And I won't name names, but I went and met someone in London. They agreed to meet me at a pub. I showed them my sketchbook. I was pretty excited about that. And they were looking through, like, it took a long time looking through every page, you know. And, you know, and I was like, man, they must really like what I've got in there. And they're finished, like, looking through it. And I was like, you know, I'm like 21 at this point. Pretty excited to hear what this person's got to say about my sketches, because they've been looking at them for a while. And they were essentially like, yeah, I mean, ultimately, you just need to stop drawing like shit Space Marines in your sketchbook and just really go and learn to draw, because you can't draw very well. And I was like devastated. But it was honestly the truth. Like, it was just a very brutal way of saying it, but they weren't wrong. I had that same, I was the best in my uni kind of thing, and I just thought, yeah, I could probably get a job with my skills right now. I was just wholly unaware of the fact that was just not going to be possible. And I did take that advice, you know. I was like, that was pretty brutal. This person is in the industry, and I'm you know, I don't like how it was delivered, but I don't necessarily think that they were wrong, you know, and that spurred me on to improve. And I've subsequently like met and spoken to that person many times since then. They helped me for a good while as well. Like, we did a lot of drawing classes together. They helped me, gave me lots of critiques, introduced me to other artists in London. Like, we ultimately became like friends, you know, for a good while. So it wasn't like that was the end of that relationship or anything, but yeah, it was quite funny thinking back on it. I could have taken that badly, but I'm just not that sort of person. If someone says something like that to me, and I still want to do it, like, it's almost a red flag to a bull kind of thing. Like, I'm actually not the sort of person to give up if I really feel about it, you know. So he said it to the right person in that sense, but still quite brutal. And they were shit Space Marines, I gotta say. Pretty bad. That was the like 18 years ago equivalent of saying get good scrub. Just opened up the art test to look at it again. I can see what they mean. Still cracks me up. I love that. Hey, it's no McFucks, is it, Dan? You know? You wouldn't call that flat and uninspired. Not at all. Yeah, exactly. Didn't happen to me, but I remember seeing someone tell someone else to completely restart the piece they were working on and scrap the old one. It was in a don't be precious about your work lesson, but it was still a bit shocking to witness when they had to score out their work. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I had something similar happen to me at art school. Found my Opus art test too. Yeah, man, I can't even remember what I did for my Opus art test. Oh, I think I had to do some like cowboy, like bandit design. I think I had to do like a cowboy. Sort of bandit thug sort of thing. Should we look at it in the frame? Let me turn my face off. It's a masterpiece. Alrighty. So, yeah, I've got to leave the stream about there for today, unfortunately. I've got some stuff I need to do this afternoon. It has been great hanging out with you again this week, guys. I will try and make some time next week to stream again. I've got to do some work for the first few days of next week, but I will definitely try and squeeze a stream in at some point. So I will keep you posted about that in the Discord and all of that. But yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you all have a great weekend. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff done in this stream today. So again, thanks for hanging with me, and I'll catch you all next week. All right.